Greg here from Cranky's. Got the Fender 64 Vibroverb reissue custom amp here for sale. I just recapped it today, and it was recapped once previously. Those caps had gone bad, and I noticed that there was an engineering mistake putting capacitance on the rectifier tube that is way too big for it to handle. So anybody that's blowing those rectifier tubes, it's not the tube manufacturer's fault. It's Fender's fault for exceeding that maximum value. And it is in writing. 5R4 GZ34 rectifier tube, maximum design center value 60 microfarads, and here's the schematic, which calls out for 220 microfarad capacitors in series, which would make 110 microfarads. 110 is a lot bigger than 60. So what I did was use the capacitor and resistor values that were in the Vibroverb 6G16. Okay, that would, first filter stage would have been effectively 32 microfarads, followed by a 16, a 16, and a 16. And with these cap values, what's installed in here, we've got 40, 24, 22, 22. So you can compare those values and see that it's basically right now how the capacitor values would have drifted up after 10 or 20 years from the factory. That's what's in there. And the other thing is that the series string for creating the other voltages are a pair of 10K 1 watt resistors. We've got a pair of 10K 2 watt flame-proof resistors in there. So that's back to spec as well for the 6G16 power supply. And power supply has a lot to do with feel, and not exceeding the rectifier maximum capacitive input value is critical for not blowing rectifier tubes. And so on to the other stuff. Let's get the my exclusive post phase inverter master volume here. When this is on 10, you're at the factory circuit values for everything. It's like this isn't even there. And then as you turn it down, you're able to get whatever type of distortion tones you're looking for at the volume that you're looking for, without sacrificing anything until you get down to such a weak value that nothing sounds good anywhere coming out of anything. So there's a certain minimum amount, which is basically like full sound at a speaking volume or a loud, kind of loud speaking volume, like somewhere in there. Just physics of sound, you gotta be that loud. So here's the insides, and Fender gets an A+ on build quality on this because they used full-size pots. They're not mounted to a circuit board. They don't use a circuit board anywhere in here. This board does not have printed wires on it. They mounted the sockets to the chassis and not to a circuit board. So build quality, really top-notch. This is heirloom quality stuff. I updated the AC mains wiring so that it sees the fuse first before it sees the switch or the transformer. Fender has a what do you call it, a thermistor in here, thermal fuse. So something to keep in mind. And then there are features that are built into this amp that are unique to this. In particular, they have a stock switch on the back here. And the way that works is stock, you get both channels, you get reverb, you get tremolo. You go to modified, you lose your non-reverb channel, and your tremolo ceases to function, and you get a boost. And it's a good sounding boost. It's a good circuit. I like it. So problem with this is somebody's going to touch it. So if you're having any problems at all with your amp, flip that back to stock. The other really nice thing is they've got a switch for a solid state rectifier, which they call diode rectifier. You get a 50 watt output out of the amp with the solid state or diode. The tube rectifier, still a diode, gives you 40 watts. And the GZ34 is a slow startup tube, so you don't actually need to use the standby switch when you're on the tube rectifier and you're using the GZ34/5AR4 tube. Just turn the power on, and when it's able to make sound, you're good to go. About a half a minute. And then, in other words, you don't need to do one then the other. You can just leave that in the play position all the time and just use your power. Now to get tube life, you want to not be moving tubes around while they're cooling down. So even though they're trying to rush you off the stage, you insist that you get 3 minutes for your tubes to cool down before things get bumped around. Somebody, other than me, added a transformer to this, and they did a good job. It's a good transformer, and they did a very good installation on it. And what they did was they made the separated the preamp filaments from the output tube filaments. So they also added fuses, which is always good. So you've got fused power going to the output tube heater circuit, and then you've got a new transformer coming in, going through here, and it has its own center tap and dropping resistors to get the voltage into the right range. And that's that business down there. The pots did not need any cleaning. There's nothing scratchy going on there. Tested all the tubes, replaced the driver tube V6 with a Mullard brand new Mallard 12AT7. And the you see the all of the different color capacitors and brands that are used in here are the highest quality ones that I could fit and come up with the circuit values that I needed to. So you can't fit all giant size capacitors in there. You're not going to fit 2 of these. You know, you're not going to fit 4 more of these in there. It doesn't work. So did the best I could for each position in terms of quality. And like I said, all the tubes test out good. Now that one was replaced, and the sockets were cleaned, and the amp is recapped high voltage power supply today, September 10th, 2025. There's also a bias monitor function in here with 2 built-in 1 ohm resistors, so a nice touch there. And again, Fender has not skimped on construction. If you have one of these, you need to go fuse first. There's a lot of amps that you got to do make this modification to, but it's absolutely critical that the AC line comes in and goes to the fuse before it goes to anything. And if your amp wasn't made that way, definitely upgrade that to, so you're actually at the current electrical code. And this is life and death stuff here, because you don't want to have a fuse fail or a transformer fail and end up with 120 volts from your AC mains on your chassis connected to your guitar strings. Okay, this is a potentially lethal situation that we're trying to avoid. So the hot wire comes in off the street. That 120 volts goes to a fuse first. So no matter what fails in the amp, you have a fuse. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to assemble it into, well, I got to put the cap pan on, reassemble it, and I'll pause the video while I do that. Play through it. So hopefully this works. There's a sneak peek at the cabinet, and inside, okay, speaker is in beautiful shape. Reverb tank, the inside of the unit is sparkling. 64 Vibroverb custom. Okay, indicating at higher build quality. So there's your very clean amp. I'm going to reassemble that now. Pause. Well, here's the rest of it. It's reassembled. And, Apple didn't want me to pause that long, apparently. Pop the amplifier back together. Realized I don't have back panel screws. So the upper back panel, which goes across here, is missing. I don't have the back panel or the screws. And this is the Fender 64 Vibroverb custom. And she's got the master volume mod here, which is Cranky's exclusive. And you can see she's in really beautiful condition. Start out 2, 5, 5, 3. I'll go 3. 3, 5, 5. Got the reverb on 4. Speed 0, intensity 10. And we'll start with test signal, so we can show. We'll start on 0. Bright, treble, bass. Frequency at the end of the test. Everything passed flying colors. And so now I demonstrate the modified switch. So there's a stock that's modified. You can see that gave you a boost. But the vibrato is not functioning. It's supposed to do that. If we get out of modified, then our vibrato is working again. The other thing that happens when you click that channel is you lose this channel altogether. Okay, and you can think, well, that's my amp's broken. So check that switch in the back here. And there's a tube rectifier and diode rectifier, which means solid state. Solid state gives you more power. It's not going to be, it's going from 40 watts to 50 watts. You're not going to hear it, but if you're all about headroom and accuracy, try the 50 watt output solid state diode. And if you enjoy a little compression and maybe do a little work with single notes, then try the tube rectifier. And you'll get more compression on the tube rectifier setting as you increase the volume of the amplifier. And right now I've got the master volume up 10. And I'm going to put the guitar in. Okay, so I've got here is the Fender Vintage Noiseless. And we'll go to the modified. Stop. And let's go 6 on the treble. So you got all that bang jangle there, and you've also got delicious bass coming out of that 15. And we've also got that master volume, so now you can see how you can get into the distortion settings on the amp. Front's on 5, back is on between 1 and 2. Let's go to 7. I'll turn it down on the back. Just like a normal speaking volume right now, and if we go to on volume 7, we can also do the boost thing from Fender. And so you can really dial in the kind of distortion that you want. Here's a dimes with a single coil. Okay, so we're on this neck. And without my master volume mod, that would just be bringing the house down, you know, volume-wise. We're down close to off and still sounding good. So next is going to be playing with a humbucker. So I go to 5 and switch to the Tony Iommi bridge pickup. And fantastic sound, room volume. You can use the boost. Stop. on the front and almost off on the back. We're going to bring that down to like 3. So depending on how hard you play, the amp responds to that. Bring up the volume on the back a little bit. So a lot of fun, right? How about this one? How about the TV Jones tribute to the Diamond Magnetron? The that's the reverb on 5.5. Let's go to 4. 3. So, good sounding reverb, spring reverb. I didn't go in the back to see if it's the original one or aftermarket. I got more important things to do. Reverb works and it sounds good. So, I think that's gonna do for the demo. Let's see, I'll get all the functionality. Yeah, we're on tube rectifier now. Let's do the rectifier thing. Back to the Fender vintage noiseless neck pickup. Solid state now. It's going to be more apparent, like the difference at louder volumes. So the solid state rectifier will give you more accurate percussion at all volumes. Tube rectifier will sag. Creates a compression. Right, so on the tube rectifier now, and diode the solid state rectifier. So you see how much more present that spring swish is. That's that soft, natural compression that tube amplifiers. Solid state. Tube, I like that, and I also like what happens when you get up to like really loud volumes. The master volume on the back right now is on 6. So what I'm going to turn the front volume down all the way. The rear volume, the Cranky's exclusive circuit here. It's been a long time. No one's doing it. It's mine. You can definitely pull a huge bass out with a master volume on 10. Factory component values, it's on 10, and as you turn it down, it doesn't turn into something that sucks, so that you can actually get into that edge breakup, whatever it is that you like to be. Extreme breakup. Responsive amplifier, very nice. I mean, the master volume was on just past 1 there, and then we got the front panel on 10. And we're using the amp like that with a single coil. Covers a lot of ground. So thank you for your interest. If you have any questions about the amp, call me weekdays 12 to 8. I always pick up the phone. So weekdays 12 to 8 at 800-349-6387. That's 1-800-FIX-ME-UP. It's only me here in the shop. So it'll be me that answers the phone. It's Greg. And just a closer on this, a return to the fact that Fender kind of screwed this up, okay? Because they're all out there with the AC mains going to the switch first, which is not correct, unsafe, and that's resolved in this amp because I rewired it, and the power supply I rewired so that using these component values in this schematic, which this is going to go with the amplifier, okay? As a matter of fact, I've already made copies, and they're with the where is it? The original manual. So you've got the manual, you've got the schematic and the layout. And this is you know, where they started from, it was 110, 24, 22, 22, 110. It was just murder for that rectifier tube. It has a maximum rating of 60 microfarads. So I rewired it so that so that it only sees 40 microfarads. And that looks like, you know, the factory 32 would have drifted up over time. So this is going to have all of the component values from the G16 Fender circuit from whenever the hell back this thing was originally made. And these capacitor and resistor values are critical to what the amp feels like in your hands. So I expect you to get it listening to me attempt to play guitar, but actually when you hold this in your hands, like if you've played a real Vibroverb amp from back in the day, this is going to sound and feel like that. The build quality is very high. It's heirloom quality construction. There's no reason not to buy this amp. It was recapped today. The AC mains are brought up to safety. And you've got that killer master volume modification here with the Fender knob on it. You don't need to see what the number's on. Just reach around back and get the volume that you need, right? And it's that easy. And they added the versatility with these switches, which is fantastic. It's a really good boost mod there. I'm sure whoever buys this amp is going to enjoy it. It's completely serviced. The sockets are all cleaned. And the controls were not cleaned because they weren't scratchy. And you can see that none of them are making any noise. As a matter of fact, together with the master volume, I can show that very clearly. So that's the volume on 10. See no noise as I turn it down. When I turn the master volume up, I continue to turn it down in the front, turn it up in the back, down in the front. Treble, bass, volume, treble, bass, and the rest of it is reverb. Speed and intensity. working perfectly, and yeah. And you're going to be purchasing the only amp that has fuse first safety, and the only amp that's not going to be blowing tube rectifiers, because the power supply has been reworked to vintage specifications. So, and to be clear, the topography is the same here, but the component values are the same as here. Well, closer to here. And safe to use. So enjoy your new amp. If you're in Mansfield, Massachusetts area, you can come and play it, which I highly recommend. But bring some cash, because you're going to be leaving with it. It's a really good sounding amp. Everybody loves this thing, and I gotta tell you, it's the best sounding 15 that I've heard. I actually like the sound of playing guitar through this. Usually I find the 15s are too flubby. So if anybody doesn't like this, I don't understand it. I really don't. I've heard all kinds of 15s. I've owned them. I generally don't like them because I don't find that they're suitable for a guitar. They wind up just sounding flubby. This one just, sounds like a really good sounding 12 to me. For what it's worth. Output tubes I put in there. It was quite a long time ago, but they still test as new, so no point in replacing them. If you did want to replace them, we could do a separate thing where I go in there and replace the output tubes with the very best currently made 6L6 tubes and bias it for you. If you want to do that, you can receive it with new output tubes. That's not a problem. I have them here. Like I said, I'm here weekdays, Monday through Friday, 12 to 8. And, don't try to reach me with email. Just grab me on the phone. 1-800-FIX-ME-UP. My name's Greg. Thanks for your time.